everyone, welcome to something a bit different. Up here on the wall I've got a barbell and down here I've got about 100 kilos of weights. I've set myself a challenge and the challenge is to be able to lift my own body weight. Now I just need to say from the outset, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this challenge. I don't think I've got it in me, to be quite honest, but I'm going to give it a good shot. So I'm going to work out for a year, regular workouts for a year, and see how close I can get. Now this is not a new ambition of mine, in fact it goes way back to my childhood. So picture the scene, there's young Maximus, absolutely transfixed in front of the television, watching WrestleMania 6. It's the one where Hulk Hogan battles the Ultimate Warrior. Epic stuff. Now there's one bit in that fight where the Ultimate Warrior picks up Hulk Hogan and lifts him overhead. And that blew my mind. And I thought, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to lift my own body weight over my head. Now we all know that pro wrestling is not real fighting, but that show of strength, that was real, and that's what I wanted to be like. Well, still do actually. And I made some progress towards it as well. When I was a teenager, I joined a gym, and for a couple of years I was weight training and getting stronger. But then just as I turned 20, I got ill, really ill, nearly died actually. I had this massive tumour in my abdomen, and once that was hacked out, obviously I didn't die, but it took me years to recover. So I was completely broken. So for most of my 20s, I was recovering from that, and the rest of my 20s, I was expecting it to come back, so I didn't really make any long-term plans. It hasn't come back, and here I still am. So now, at the age of nearly 50, have I left it too late? Probably yes. There's two things that have finally pushed me into action. One is simply a desire to keep up with my somewhat younger but much fitter hiking partner. And secondly was reading about how much muscle mass is lost once you get over the age of about 50. But also reading that it's not inevitable and can even be reversed, and that's what I aim to do. What we'll do now is head inside and I'll show you the workout plan and what supplements I'm going to be taking and why. And then we'll come back out here and I'll actually start lifting these weights and we'll see what my current strength level is, and you can all have a good laugh at my first workout in years. Before we talk about nutrition, I'm going to mention steroids, just to say that I'm not going to be taking steroids, and that's for a multitude of reasons, but I'm going to give you two. One is, if you think back to those pro wrestlers, they didn't tend to live very long. So the Ultimate Warrior, he barely made it over 50. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, around about the same, I think. British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, didn't even make it at 40. All those guys died of heart attacks. Now, you can pick out exceptions. I mean, Hulk Hogan himself is still around. But generally, you can see that pro wrestlers from that era, their life expectancy was appalling. And a lot of that was down to the amount of, not just steroids obviously, but steroids and all the other things that they were taking. The second reason is that steroids are hormones. Now that might sound an obvious point, but think about it. If you start taking hormones, what's your body going to do? It's going to stop its own production of hormones. And where's testosterone produced in the male body? It's in the testicles. So what I'm trying to say is there's an upshot of taking steroids, your balls shrink. No thanks. What we have here is protein, creatine and caffeine in the form of coffee. Now these two happen to be made by a company called MyProtein. I'm not sponsored by them, they didn't send me this or anything like that. There are many other protein powders available. This is just what I happen to pick. So we'll start with protein because that's the most important. And I'm only going to very briefly go over these. I will leave a link to a really good information source, the Stronger by Science website and podcast. And I'll leave a link in the description if you want more details. But protein, and I'm sure we all know this, is what your muscles need to rebuild after a workout basically. And if there's enough in your diet, that's great. If there's not enough in your diet, this can help. Caffeine can power you through that workout. I'm sure we're all well aware of the effects of caffeine. Creatine is one that you might not have heard of. It's an interesting substance. It's, in practical terms, enables you to grind out the last 1 or 2 reps, which when you're doing strength training is really important. Now again, much like protein, you can get creatine in your diet, but it's much harder to get creatine in your diet than it is to get protein in your diet. Creatine is mainly found in red meat, so if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you might find supplementing creatine to be really helpful. And like I say, I'm going to put a link down to much more in-depth information on nutrition from people who actually know what they're talking about. This is my workout plan, and what I want you to note here is that there are very few workouts during the week too. So it's workout A on a Monday, then a run, then a day off, workout B, then a run, then a day off, and a day off. This is down to my age, basically. It would be much better in terms of making progress if I could train 3 or 4 times a week, but I just don't think I'm up to it. The recovery is the key thing, and I want to keep up running as well, so hence 2 workouts a week. The second thing I want to point out is how simple these workouts are. They are mostly clean and press, and I'll show you that exercise in a bit. And so it's clean and press, and then if I've got any energy left, I shall do some ring exercises. I'll show you the rings in a bit. They're hanging from the ceiling in the workshop there. And then I've got a plan down here. And the second page here is just a chart I've made up where I can put the week and the maximum lift. Now I aim to do this for a year, and well, we'll see how far we get. Okay, let's go and see how. I was going to say how strong I am. Let's go and see how strong I'm not. There's 3 ways in which muscles get stronger. The first is simply by technique. So the more I practice lifting a weight in a certain way, the better I'll get at doing that, and hence I can lift more weight doing it. The second is muscle fiber recruitment. So if you think that your muscles are full of muscle fibers, initially when you start lifting a heavy weight in a certain movement, your body can only recruit so many fibers. Over time, your central nervous system gets better at recruiting more muscle fibers for the task. And then the third way is just to make your muscles bigger and therefore stronger. So the first 2 are quite quick, the third is very, very slow. So the main movement, or pretty much the only movement, is a clean and press. So to clean means to get the barbell off the ground, catch it there, and then press is to extend it overhead. The barbell weighs 15 kilos and I put a 5 kilo weight on each end. Now I'm sure I can do the lift, but my technique will be appalling, so just bear that in mind, and that's just lack of practice. I've chosen this movement partly because it gets me where I want to be with being able to press overhead, but also it works out the entire body. "35 kilos. Yep. "45. Oh yes, well I remember, when it comes to technique, the best video resource I found is a channel, Alan Thrall. I'll put a link in the description again. He's really good. So any exercise you can think of, he'll have an instructional video for it, and he's very good. He's very good at explaining it. In fact, it's a brilliant channel all round. So highly recommended. Alan Thrall. Now when it comes to the press part of the clean and press, just doing that, that's a strict press, but dipping your legs and giving it a bit of leg drive, that's a push press, and obviously you can lift quite a bit more weight that way. Now I'd be happy with either. I just want to get more than my body weight over my head. That's my goal. Oh, I should say, actually, I probably haven't mentioned this so far, I weigh about 95 kilos, so that's what we're aiming at. It's over twice what I've got here. 50 kilos now. $55 kilos. It's more than I expected. Well, I haven't lifted it yet. Just. Well, it went up, but it didn't stay up, did it really? I'll try that one again. Oh, I'm really not terribly strong, am I? And it'll be interesting to look back at the footage actually, because I'm sure my technique falls apart completely when I get near the maximum. Yeah. Give me a couple of moments, I'll try it again. $55 kilos over my head, that's my current limit. Well, you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So I'll just finish off with a quick go on the rings here. I'll report back to you in 6 months and then again in 12 months, and we'll see if I've managed to achieve anything. But cheers for now.